Almost everyone remembers the first time they noticed a gray hair. It might have been in a bathroom mirror under harsh lighting or pointed out by someone who thought it was funny. One tiny strand, suddenly brighter than the rest, and somehow it feels louder than all the others. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't change how your hair behaves. But it carries a strange emotional weight, because it quietly says something we don't always want to hear. Time is moving forward. For centuries, gray hair has been linked to age, wisdom, stress, and sometimes even fear. But what actually makes hair lose its color? Is it simply the calendar turning pages? Or is something deeper happening inside your body? Today we're going to uncover why our hair turns gray as we get older. And to do that, we have to go far beneath the surface, down into tiny cells, pigments, and invisible biological clocks quietly ticking away. Every single strand of hair begins its life far below the surface of your skin, inside a small tunnel-like structure called a hair follicle. At the bottom of that follicle is a bustling little factory of living cells, constantly dividing and building the hair that will eventually push its way out of your scalp. Among those cells are special pigment-producing cells called melanocytes. Their job is to make melanin, the same pigment that gives color to your skin and eyes. There are two main types of melanin involved in hair color. Eumelanin produces shades of brown and black, while pheomelanin creates red and yellow tones. The unique mix and amount of these pigments determines whether someone has black hair, dark brown hair, golden blonde hair, or fiery red curls. As new hair grows, melanocytes inject melanin into the developing hair shaft. Once that hair emerges from the scalp, it is biologically dead. It can't change color. The pigment that was placed inside it is locked in for life. That's why gray hair always starts at the root, never halfway down a strand. As we grow older, something subtle begins to change in those pigment factories. The melanocytes inside the hair follicles slowly start to lose their ability to produce melanin. Some become weaker and less efficient. Others die off completely. When a hair follicle produces a strand without enough melanin, the hair looks gray. When it produces no melanin at all, the hair appears white. Interestingly, gray hair isn't actually gray in a chemical sense. It's colorless. The gray appearance comes from light bouncing off the clear hair shaft and mixing visually with nearby pigmented hairs. When every pigment cell in a follicle is gone, the hair looks bright white, like a thread of silk. This change doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, one follicle at a time, as pigment cells accumulate damage from normal metabolism, UV exposure, and reduced cellular repair. Eventually, many of them simply stop working. And once a follicle loses its melanocytes, it almost never gets them back. If you've ever wondered why some people start turning gray in their 20s, while others keep their color well into their 60s, the answer is largely written in their genes. Genetics is the single biggest factor that determines when your hair will lose its pigment. Scientists have identified genes that control how long melanocytes survive and how efficiently they produce melanin. Variations in these genes act like a biological clock, deciding how quickly pigment cells age. This is why two people of the same age can look dramatically different. One may have a head full of silver while the other still looks untouched by time. It isn't about better shampoo or fewer worries. It's about inherited instructions quietly playing out inside each hair follicle. Your hair, in a sense, knows its own timeline. For a long time, stress was blamed for turning hair gray, but it was often treated as a myth or an exaggeration. People joked that a hard year or a bad boss gave them gray hairs overnight. Recently, though, science has discovered that stress really does have a role, just not in the dramatic way movies show. When you experience intense or chronic stress, your body releases stress hormones that activate the fight-or-flight response. Those hormones can damage the melanocyte stem cells that live inside hair follicles. These stem cells are responsible for replacing pigment-producing cells as they wear out. When they are depleted, the follicle permanently loses its ability to make melanin. Stress doesn't bleach the hair you already have. Instead, it accelerates the loss of pigment in new hair that grows afterward. Over time, heavy stress can push your hair toward gray earlier than your genes originally planned. But genetics still sets the foundation. Stress just nudges the process forward. Many people notice that gray hair feels different. It's often coarser, drier, and harder to manage. This happens because melanin does more than add color. It also helps protect the hair from ultraviolet radiation and supports the structure of the hair shaft. Without pigment, hair becomes more vulnerable to environmental damage. At the same time, aging changes the scalp itself. The oil glands produce less natural oil, which means gray hair tends to be drier and more brittle. That's why hair that has lost its pigment often needs different care, more moisture, and gentler handling. It's not just a color change. It's a structural one. People have long searched for ways to stop or reverse gray hair. From ancient herbal remedies to modern supplements, the hope has always been the same. But so far, there is no proven way to permanently prevent it. Because the root cause is cellular aging and genetics, no shampoo, oil, or miracle pill can fully stop it. That said, some health factors can influence how quickly the process begins. Deficiencies in vitamin B12, iron, and copper have been linked to premature graying in some individuals. Smoking has also been shown to speed up the process by increasing oxidative stress in the body, which damages cells, including melanocytes. While lifestyle choices can't rewrite your genetic timeline, they can influence how smoothly or harshly your body travels along it. There is something quietly poetic about gray hair. It isn't a malfunction. It's a record. Every gray strand marks the moment when a tiny pigment cell reached the end of its working life. It's the visible trace of countless invisible processes that kept you alive, healing, and adapting for decades. In many cultures, gray hair has been associated with wisdom and experience for good reason. It represents time lived, not time lost. In recent years, gray hair has even become a fashion statement. People dye their hair silver on purpose, trying to capture the look that biology eventually gives to everyone for free. What was once hidden is now often celebrated. And maybe that shift makes sense, because gray hair isn't a sign that something has gone wrong. It's proof that something has been going right long enough for these tiny cellular clocks to run their course. So the next time you notice a gray hair in the mirror, remember what it really means. It's not just about getting older. It's about every sunrise you've seen, every challenge you've survived, and every cell in your body that kept going, quietly doing its job. That small silver thread is part of a much bigger story, one written deep inside your biology. Thank you for watching. If you have ideas for what we should explore next, leave them in the comments and we may feature your suggestion in a future video. And if you found this story fascinating, you're going to love what comes next. In our next video, we dive even deeper into another everyday mystery that most people see, but never truly understand. Click on the next video now and keep this journey going with us.